is Juha Haavisto and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about a few points of what history is and what it can and cannot do. Before diving in, I wish to introduce myself in a more formal fashion. My name is Juha Haavisto and I am a PhD researcher and I have specialized on early modern intellectual history. But on this channel I will be discussing different aspects of history in very wide range, from the early modern philosophy to the contemporary events. I already have a long list of topics that I wish to discuss, but if you have any specific historical interests in mind, please leave a note in the comment sections below. So, on to our main event today. What is history? I try not to make this into a boring academic lecture, but I will say that history is two separate things. First, it is a thing, development, or an event in the past. This is the everyday use of history as a concept. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing exceptional about that. More importantly for us, history is an action performed by people looking back into past events, trying to analyze events and ideas. Simply, it is a field of study in and outside of academia that tries to provide interpretations on the past events. As an academic discipline, history is highly specialized and researchers tend to focus on very specific questions. Specializing on a certain theme or few related themes is obviously beneficial, as you tend to build up a very thorough understanding of a certain specific topic. The danger is that you cannot see the forest for the trees. There are, however, academics who make the point of their studies to formulate long-term narratives that develop over time. As always, there is no definite answer who is right. It all depends on the type of question that you are trying to solve. Another way to look back is history writing as a separate entity of historical research. And this is the sort of type that I wish to do, or I am trying to do in this video and in this channel. For me, history writing means any piece of historically oriented text, news, video, podcast, any form of media that does not meet the requirements of academic historical research but tries to engage with historical questions. In the best case, history writing is based on historical research, but it's just a sort of streamlined to make it more easily accessible. Worst case is that authors are simply inventing stuff as they go along and are not familiar with sources or try to distort them intentionally. My second point is to discuss what can be done with history in general. Obviously, history can be used for many things, but what it should be used is to provide explanations, interpretations, and views to past events and ideas and such. It can be used to unearth events and explain developments, and this is an important point, first and foremost, historical events have to be explained within their own context. For example, the ideas of Thomas Hobbes can be explained only within the tools that Hobbes had in mind. A historian can also discover specific uses for topics that have been invented later. For example, it can be said that Machiavelli and Hobbes were discussing of power structures and the relations between the people and the prince. This is valid, although the study of power and power structures in themselves is a fairly new academic approach. What is important to remember is that historiography and history writing are always based on specific methods. It analyzes sources with criticism and it follows the contemporary scientific conventions to make sure that the research process is repeatable. The catch is that there are no historical answers that are objectively true. Since the 1960s, a view emerged that historian can never have all the sources that relate to any specific research, and it follows that whatever answer is given, we always have to assume that it's based on a subjective view. Here we encounter a dilemma. If all historical knowledge is subjective, can anything definite be said about history, and is each argument as strong as any other? The answer is no and no. As I said before, a historian follows a certain specific set of methods. They try to answer predetermined questions, their research should be repeatable, they respect the rules of scientific research to form their arguments, and make them public. This is the reason why historians and other scientists publish papers. After a paper has been released, it becomes exposed to the critical eye of other historians. What happens is that over time, the argument that is the most convincing wins and becomes the standard explanation, until it is challenged and overthrown. I will conclude this video by discussing what history should not be used for. Historical information should be used to explain the past, as I said before. History can be used to discuss events that led to a specific development, but we should not look for specific historical patterns that would, as such, repeat themselves in our contemporary world. For example, we can look at the history of capitalism, but we can't really take lessons from the 14th century and bring them into our contemporary lives. It just doesn't work. Historical arguments should not be used to argue one side only, or build from a specific point of view. This is something that history as an academic discipline has understood only in the 20th century. Finally, history should not be intentionally distorted. Even though history is a subjective field of inquiry, the arguments that are made have to respect certain boundaries, and complete subjectivism is not possible. History has to always rely on sources, it always has to rely on method, and it always has to be repeatable. This is the end of my short introductory video, and the end of the video is the moment when tubers turn to you, the audience, and ask you, if you like this sort of content, please hit the subscribe button. For now, my plan is to complete and develop my skills in turning historical arguments to a form that is more suitable for a format such as YouTube. Also, I need to focus on my skills on video editing and other technical issues. Nonetheless, I will try to keep up with the pace that I post a video every week. Before signing off, I would like to thank those who are still listening. Thank you, and until the next time.